So good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm Ravi. I'm the co-founder CEO of Zeeve. And today in this month's webinar, we are covering Web3 Gaming and Metaverse. There has been huge traction in the decentralized gaming and Metaverse space. It has been the most trending word of last 1 year, in addition to zero knowledge proofs. So why, this space is heating up, and whether you are a Web3 builder, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are a developer, what it means for you in terms of opportunities, what gaming and metaverse is, and how you can leverage this, the growing ecosystem of metaverse and gaming. So in terms of the overall market opportunity, the gaming and metaverse, one, from the investor trend, we are already seeing a huge traction. So if we see the stats, in 2022, almost $7.1 billion was invested into various Web3 startups. And out of that, almost 62% was contributed to decentralized gaming. And part of metaverse is part of that. So if you see, one, from an investment standpoint, there is a lot of traction which decentralized gaming and metaverse is getting. And secondly, in terms of market opportunity, it is said that, as per one of the report, almost 5 to 6 trillion worth of economy would be impacted by metaverse by 2030, and which is huge, which is like almost 8 to 10% of world's GDP. So in terms of market opportunity and size, I think no other technology has this kind of impact as we see today. So, and if you compare it with social networks, infra, AR, VR, AI, etc., the amount of investment that has gone into metaverse and gaming, and both software and hardware and experiences, etc., it's huge in last 1 to 2 years. So now, first, what is Web3 gaming or decentralized gaming? And similarly, what is metaverse? Just, a brief about that. We have covered this topic in previous webinars, but I'll give a quick recap, a bit summary, but still, enough to understand what it is. And I'll cover in subsequent slides how Web3 gaming is different from Web2 gaming that we are used to, and how blockchain and Web3 are actually playing a major role, both in the case of gaming and metaverse. So when we say Web3 gaming, we are talking about decentralized gaming. And what we mean by decentralized gaming, that it's a gaming which is based on using blockchain technology, and where you decentralize the gaming ecosystem in the sense that as an individual who is playing a game, a gamer, whatever assets they are earning, they can actually own the asset. So all the in-gaming assets are tokenized, and you can actually own that asset. And plus, all the decision making in the game is done using smart contracts, so that you can trust, you can rely that there's no centralized player who can change the odds, right? So it may be any kind of game. We do require one, to leverage that, people are spending time, people are enjoying the game, but at the same time, they are earning assets, and how to make those assets more tradable so that people can own them, they can sell them, they can trade them. And the second, of course, is now we have got a lot of competitive gaming. And in the competitive gaming, it's very easy to, hack the gaming ecosystem. The centralized player may do something which is against your odds, or which is biased towards someone or something. So when we say decentralized gaming, we are actually changing that. So one, we are improving the experience of the gamers. The second, we are giving absolute control of in-gaming assets back to the gamers. And then, of course, we are creating a decentralized ecosystem so that there are clear odds and there is no bias within the system. Similarly, if you see metaverse and most of the RPG games, etc., that we have been playing, they are, I would say, the precursors of metaverse. So there's a very sophisticated game. You build a team, you compete with other teams, you have avatar within the game, and you have your distinctive identity within the game, in the sense of you have your own kind of dress that you wear, kind of assets or weapons that you use, etc. And so we have been getting those kind of experiences, and I think those experiences have shown that there's been a lot of traction for these kind of games, and people are spending more and more time playing these games. So that clearly shows that if the experiences are better, then people tend to be inclined towards that. And expanding that further is what Metaverse is. How to make these experiences even more immersive, much better. So gaming is, of course, the low-hanging fruit, because we have been playing highly virtualized games with very sophisticated experiences. And extending that further is a natural extension for the gaming. And that's why most of the metaverses, most of the apps that you see today are gaming-based metaverses. But metaverse is not just about games. Once you have these immersive experiences, then this can be used where lots of people, they can live within the metaverse, they can have distinctive identity, they can work. So it is impacting all kind of businesses, and we'll cover that later. So whether it be customer support, whether it be all the virtual walkthroughs we have been seeing, whether in the real estate area, or you want to have an experience before buying clothes, if you want to wear them and see how that clothes will look on you, or if you're buying an automobile, how the driving experience would be. So there are a lot of things across industries that metaverse is impacting. Once you have that kind of experience, then you can actually say that your virtual experience is very similar to what you do in person, and that is what metaverse is all about. Now, starting with decentralized gaming. So first, let's see what are the challenges of Web2 gaming. So one, of course, games are expensive. They are not free. Most of the good games are paid games. And at the same time, they are highly resource intensive. You require specialized GPU. You require high-end desktop system to play most of the games, which have got rich experiences. And second, as I briefly mentioned, today what happens is, if you earn any asset within the game, in the Web2 game, you have a virtual ownership, but no absolute ownership over it. What I mean by that is, you do not have any decision making whether you want to take that asset and sell somewhere else. So that asset is useful only within that specific gaming ecosystem. It does not have any utility outside that ecosystem. So you actually, in a literal sense, you are not owning the asset. The gaming owner or the software owner is actually still owns that asset. And second, in addition to that, most of the purchases that happen within the gaming is based on fiat. So fiat it reduces or it restricts the options that you have for making payments. So that is another challenge for traditional in-gaming assets or in traditional Web2 games. And then one interesting point is that in traditional gaming environments, it's very hard to achieve the scarcity of certain items. So there's no proper provenance. The game owner can, print more copies of an asset, create n number of assets. So that concept of scarcity is not there, which again is something that we are going to see is something very important in Web3, whether it be gaming or different kind of plays that are there. So these are some of the challenges. To summarize the challenges, one, you do not have absolute ownership of your in-game assets. Then, most of the games are very expensive to play. And there are no, new models where play to earn kind of models. I'll briefly talk about play to earn also. So rather than you are paying for enjoying the game, and then, you have to make payments using fiat. And then whatever assets you have earned, you do not absolutely own them. Now, vis-a-vis that, if you see Web3 gaming, now Web3 games are designed in a decentralized ecosystem using blockchain. We see many games that have become very popular, metaverses that have become very popular. Like Axie Infinity was a game changer 2 years back when it launched, and during COVID got huge traction due to its play to earn model. So when you design a Web3 game, what you get is one, a true ownership of asset. Now you have a distinct identity, and that identity is decentralized identity. So you enter a gaming metaverse, you're playing a game, you have an identity that is connected with your cryptographic identity. In fact, your wallet identity becomes your identity within that. And then, that identity can own other assets. So now your avatar or your identity within the gaming metaverse is owning that asset. So something you are wearing, it may be shoes, it may be specific cap, or it's specific garments. And then, any kind of weapons or other assets that you own, everything you own them. And the best part is you have absolute ownership of them. You can sell those assets, you can trade those assets with other players within the gaming ecosystem, or you can even sell them outside the gaming ecosystem. Most of the Web3 games today are interoperable, so you can take asset from one and sell it to other. So that means you have true ownership of the asset. And since there are multiple games, and the beauty of smart contracts in blockchain is that they are composable. And using the similar standard, so let's say EVM blockchains having similar standards, or even if there are different blockchains, like, there's interoperability coming between substrate and EVM blockchains. So interoperability is now coming in where you can transfer assets from one chain to another. So it's not just interoperability among the games, but games designed on different blockchain ecosystems or blockchain protocols still do have an interoperability. And then, the third and the most important piece, which is a sea change in the Web3 gaming, is play to earn model. So you are not just owning asset and monetizing that. You have a complete play to earn model where you are playing the game, and at the same time you have a propensity that you can make some money. And that's what, play to earn model is. Axie Infinity started this model during COVID. A lot of people started playing on Axie Infinity just because, it gave you an option where you can monetize your time that you are spending on the game. So you're playing and you're earning, and you can convert that, whatever tokens you earn, you can actually encash those tokens. So it's a real monetization of your playing time. So Web3 gaming, will become almost $37 billion industry by 2032 with a huge 18% CAGR. And you see the growth is tremendous and consistently growing. So this is something very exciting, because gaming, as we know, has been always exciting, has always has traction among the youth, children, and even older people. And now with Web3 gaming and other Web2 games, there's a lot of variety of games. And with RPG games coming into picture, multiplayer competing with each other, a lot of gaming competitions are happening. So this sector is anyways growing strong. And with Web3 coming into picture, where, it gives new data monetization or playing time monetization models like play to earn, and, absolute ownership of assets. And plus, through smart contract based decision making, so that there is no bias within the system, I think is going to revolutionize how gaming sector looks. Now, if you see from a metaverse perspective, how does metaverse fits into it? So as I mentioned, metaverse brings in, or it enables a lot of immersive and virtual experiences, where the experiences are so real that even being virtual, they are very similar to what you experience in reality. That is what the ideal metaverse would look like. Yes, we are still not there. It's going to take a huge amount of time. But various technologies which support metaverse, whether it be augmented reality or virtual reality or artificial intelligence, Web3, etc., they are coming together. A lot of developments are happening within the hardware space, so that it becomes more and more easy, more economical to use hardware devices to get those experiences. Meta is working on projects where, they're adding expressions to your avatar. So your avatar will not be very static that we see today, but your avatar will have expressions. So you will have different kind of human expressions. So if you are attending a conference within the metaverse, and you would be able to laugh and frown and wink, and you have all those expressions. So it will make it more and more real. And that is what the whole idea is. And if you add these kind of experiences within gaming itself, the whole experience of gaming will be manifold. Especially if we talk about comparative gamings, we'll see a lot of uptake that is going to happen in the gaming space. just because of sheer experiences, because the experiences will be so real that people will feel like they are playing it offline. So now, since, as I mentioned, when the advent of metaverse started, most of the initial metaverses you see, the major utility apart from selling land, etc., within the metaverse was gaming metaverses. And the reason is very clear, because as I mentioned, we have been used to playing interactive games. And so when metaverse started happening, I think gaming was the low-hanging fruit. And that's why we see a lot of gaming metaverses. But metaverse is definitely a much larger set where, it consists of multiple technologies, then gaming is a part of it. But then there are various utilities that metaverse enables. From a technology standpoint, metaverse is a amalgamation of various technologies. So there is immersive technologies like mixed reality or virtual reality, augmented reality, and so on and so forth. And then, a lot of 3D rendering, etc. And then, we have AI and various data related technologies to manage the humongous amount of data that is going to be there in the metaverse. Because as we increase the experiences, of course, the amount of data that is going to be generated is huge. So we require machine learning models and AI to make sense of that data. And then one major component is Web3. So, and that's a very interesting point I would like to cover here, that the concept of metaverse is not new. It has been there, and in form of games and form of virtual walkthroughs and various other virtual experiences. We have been seeing the precursors of metaverse earlier also. But why suddenly in last 2 years, metaverse has become such a big buzzword? And especially when we talk about Web3, one of the technology area within Web3, we always talk about metaverse, in addition to NFTs, DeFi, etc. So why Web3 is revolutionizing the whole concept of metaverse? The thing is that till now, even if you see any kind of sophisticated game where you have very cool experiences, there also, if you want to enable, let's say I mentioned about total ownership, or I mentioned about having a unique identity, and that identity can own other assets. Now, to enable these kind of features, you require blockchain. And that's where, blockchain becomes an integral part of metaverse. So first, when you enter as an avatar, it's not just a simple JPEG image or, images which are even 2D or 3D images. It's an actual identity which is tagged to your wallet. And that identity own assets, and there's an absolute ownership. You can actually take those assets out and you can sell it to someone else. So the digital identity is enabled by your cryptographic identity. And now with, regulations, now there are decentralized identities where you can combine your real world identity also along with the cryptographic identity. So there is a one-to-one mapping, and based on that, you are actually having you are like a legal entity within the metaverse. So that is what decentralized identity enables. And then second, by tokenizing these assets, whatever in-game assets are there, now once you tokenize them as fungible or non-fungible assets, depending on what the asset type is, once you tokenize them, then those tokenized assets can be traded. So it opens up a whole set of financial transactions within the metaverse. That again is something which blockchain has brought in, that how it can enable different kind of financial transactions. And one, we have a proper financial economy within the ecosystem. The ecosystem thrives, and there's a propensity for the ecosystem to grow further. So that is what the major contribution of blockchain as a technology to the metaverse is. So now coming to the business part of metaverse. Now, as I mentioned, metaverse is not just about gaming, but it has extended, it is touching pretty much all industries. And you can see some of the functional areas, like banks are creating virtual branches within the metaverse. So you can take health, so you can actually, so one option is today, the kind of experience we have is we do digital banking or digital branch banking, where you simply call a customer support and they help you. And there is very good onboarding, digital onboarding system where you can do a video interview, do your online KYC, and you get onboarded. And just, making that experience even further, even better is opening a branch within the metaverse where you can walk through, you can go to specific support section. You get a ticket, you can stand in a queue, and so it improves the experience of the customer, and that's what whole customer support is all about. So that's why a lot of banks are opening branches. Various other organizations are now bringing their customer support, onboarding processes, etc. within the metaverse. Then similarly, we talk about any kind of virtual experiences where people want to try on something before they buy. So whether it be buying a car, whether it be buying garments, whether it be buying, you want to see how your house will look after painting this color, etc. So there are n number of use cases that you can think about where people want to experience something before they can commit some kind of financial transaction. So all those pieces are again being visualized and realized within the metaverse. Similarly, if you see the whole travel and tourism industry, so travel and tourism industry itself is very huge, because there are a lot of places again you want to experience before you can see what these things will look like. Of course, it cannot you cannot have that kind of experience which you are going to have in person, but at least you can get an idea as to what the experience could be like, right? So and then it's people are imagining a lot more use cases where if you improve the experience, there's more propensity of using it. So all those kind of use cases are being realized across industries. So from that perspective, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a CEO of any enterprise, a lot of enterprises are now committing investments and time and resources to do something in the metaverse. One, as I mentioned, it has got a huge addressable market size. It's going to be almost 4 to 5 trillion worth economy by 2030, which is huge. And second, there are plethora of use cases, and some of the use cases like trying out something before buying or customer support, etc., are going to revolutionize industries and tremendously help the existing organizations to rethink how they interact with the customers. So if you see the traction among the enterprises, it's already very huge. A lot of Web2 gaming companies are moving to Web3, and all the top players, whether it be At.he or Network Studios, Microsoft, Square Enix, etc., they are already seeing Web3 gaming as the next big thing, and are moving from Web2 to Web3. And then Microsoft is acquiring Activision Blizzard. Meta is on the hardware side also, there's a huge competition which is coming in, and on the software side also, like Network Studios, they are developing their own RPG dubbed Legendary Heroes Unchained on the blockchain. So there are quite all the existing players, and then of course players like Axie Infinity, etc., who set these models, who created these, who help establish, I would say, play to earn kind of models. And play to earn model has touched upon or given so many opportunities. One, to Axie Infinity to create such a model, where it helped grow the Axie Infinity ecosystem. Second, the gamers could be able to monetize their playing time. And then there were a lot of guild platforms that opened. And the purpose of guild platform was to enable gamers to join the Axie Infinity ecosystem. One, there were two problems that guilds were solving. One problem was that people do require training to start playing a new game. So they used to train so that people are more efficient in playing games and earn more. And the second, most of these play to earn games, they do require you to buy some NFT before you can start playing. So sometimes that upfront investment is more. So these guilds started leasing out these NFTs and then training you to play games. So once the gamer gets the initial investment to enter into the gaming ecosystem and more efficiently play around it, make some money and share some revenue with the guild platform. So these kind of monetization models started coming in, and a lot of guild platforms and startups came in. So of course you can see where I'm going there. This is something which is touching upon creating a lot of entrepreneur ecosystem, at the same time creating a lot of job opportunities and etc. Just by creating new business models. And if you talk about metaverse, we know all the existing players, some of the large banks, some of the companies like Nike, etc. Fashion brands, a lot of fashion brands are coming into there, because one of the interesting thing is, just imagine a scenario when in few years' time, the experiences will become more and more better, and people will start spending more time within the metaverse. Then you will feel a need of, the way we feel in person, buying new clothes, buying new fashion accessories. So similarly, you will find that need when you're spending so much time in the metaverse. You would like your avatar within the metaverse to own these kind of assets. So a lot of fashion brands are investing, creating products within the metaverse. A lot of hybrid models are coming in where you can buy something within the metaverse and you can take a delivery offline. So whether it be buying a fashion accessory or shoes or let's say you buy a coffee, you enjoy a coffee within the metaverse, and you can still take an offline delivery of it. So a lot of these combined models are also coming in, which are opening up new options, new vistas there. Now coming to the pain points. So of course, I will talk about two major pain points. One, of course, are the infrastructure challenges, because as we have seen, when we try to create more complex gaming environments like that we see in Web2 games today, they require more GPU, more hardware, etc. Similarly, when we talk about more complex game within the Web3 infrastructure ecosystem, because right now Axie Infinity were comparatively much simpler games that you can play on the browser. But when you go for bigger games, RPG, comparative games, etc., then of course infrastructure will become one challenge. The second related to this is the underlying technology for managing this infrastructure becomes also very complex, because a metaverse or a gaming metaverse is very complex in terms of there's a gaming environment using Unity or Unreal Engine, etc. And then you have smart contracts, you have tokenization of assets, and then you're combining AI or different kind of machine learning models or data, etc. So managing this diverse set of technologies require very complex infrastructure to own that. So that again brings in a lot of challenges. And one of the major challenges that is not just specific to metaverse or games, but is across the Web3 industry, which is the user adoption, user experience. And what I mean by user experience is still we are not that comfortable. Most of the people in the world today are not very comfortable using decentralized wallets. We know that non-custodial wallets, from a technology standpoint, from a security standpoint, they are far, far better than centralized custodian or centralized wallets. But the sheer, the user experience is such a big change, moving from a social login or the email password-based logins to a MetaMask kind of login experience, handling your, ensuring that you manage and secure your private keys. So this is a sea change. We are not used to that, and when we know that this private key once lost cannot be restored, so that is a big challenge in the mind of everyone to how to secure it. So user experience still drives that. A lot of centralized exchanges, centralized other properties are still there. I remember we have a partner working in the NFT ticketing space. And we realized that, if you want masses to buy tickets and NFT tickets and take the benefit of NFTs, the new experiences that NFT ticketing ecosystem is creating, it's very difficult for, you can't expect everyone to adopt a MetaMask wallet and start buying using crypto. Sheer buying in crypto, it's a challenge, because whatever crypto you are selling in, the person may not be owning it. If you're doing a smart contract transaction, you're minting an NFT ticket, you do require gas fee. So that also needs to be solved. So now there are various startups who are pretty much solving this, that how to bring in more and more adoption, so that experiences are, of course, from a metaverse perspective, the experiences are going to be rich. But from a Web3 perspective also, we need to find ways where people can easily move from their Web2 experiences to Web3. And I think user adoption definitely is a big challenge that needs to be solved there. But as I mentioned, it's a huge opportunity. And we at Zeeve, I'll give a brief about Zeeve before covering this slide. So Zeeve is a Web3 infrastructure as a service platform, and we provide shared APIs, we provide dedicated nodes, whether it be full nodes, archive nodes. So basically we are helping developers. When you start your Web3 journey, you are building any dApp, you do require infrastructure. You do need to connect your app to the blockchain protocol. So you don't need to worry about the infrastructure. That is where Zeeve comes in. We support all the major cloud providers. We support all the major blockchain protocols, including in the public protocol space, whether it be Ethereum, Polygon, Binance, Tron, Avalanche, Solana. So we support all the major protocols, and we continue to add 2 to 3 protocols every month. And then on the enterprise side, also we support Fabric, R3 Coda, Flurry. And then, now we have recently launched Polygon Edge, Avalanche Subnets, Substrate Parachain. So pretty much covering all the major what is happening, and continue to add some of the new ones like Shardium, Corium, new L1 protocols that are being launched in the market. So Metaverse and decentralized gaming is a huge opportunity, both from an entrepreneur standpoint, or if you're an existing enterprise, there's a huge opportunity there that you can leverage. And if you want to understand more about the business models, you want to take advantage of the infrastructure platform that we have, a no-code platform, do connect us, do join our channels, join us on LinkedIn, and we are very much willing to help you. So this is pretty much I wanted to cover in this. Now I think if anyone has any questions, I would like to answer. So one question from Aniket: how Web3 or Metaverse companies can create huge demand for Metaverse experience to larger population? So Aniket, to answer that, as I mentioned, one, we need to take care of some of the user experience challenges. So I talked about some of the challenges. So let's say we talk about social logins. We are very used to social logins, and then how to manage the private key, etc. So can we create a combination of a non-custodial management of keys, yet you have an experience like Web2? So that's where one of our partner startup called Arcana, they have created social logins where you can use a social login kind of experience to and still interact with the blockchain in a non-custodial way. Similarly, if we talk about, there's another Indian startup called Biconomy, which is doing great on the gasless transactions. So when you're building smart contract, you can move the gas. So there are two ways of managing it. One, you can design the contracts in such a way so that admin can pay for the gas fee. So user does not need to pay for the gas fee. Instead of that, the admin is paying for it. So that makes it easy. People who want to have a complete Web2 experience, still interacting with a decentralized app, can make use of it. They do not require any token within their wallet. They still will be interacting using a wallet, but at least they don't need to buy tokens or use tokens to do a transaction on the smart contract. The second way is that, what Biconomy does was that people can pay in the native token of the app. And that was a classic challenge. A new startup comes in, up with its own token. And now what happens is I may be having Ethereum in my wallet, but I connect my MetaMask to that new app, and I need to pay using that app. I have tokens of that venture or the app, but still I need to have Ethereum to pay the gas fee, because the gas fee is still being paid in Ethereum. So Biconomy created a way where, you could still pay the gas fee using the native token of that app. So the point is that there are various startups who are, creating these kind of experiences. Second, as I mentioned, the metaverse, the gaming metaverse is picked up first because, now play to earn and these kind of models have established and people like playing games. And second, as we increase utility. So the key word here is more utility. As metaverse companies will enable experiences where more utility can be provided to enterprises, organizations, etc. So it will start bringing in enterprises. And when, because for having a wider adoption of metaverse, we cannot just look at B2C models. We need to have B2B models also. And as we bring in more and more enterprises, organizations, startups within the metaverse, they will bring in a lot of users. So then it will have a ripple effect, and we'll see a huge demand of metaverse experience to larger population. So as I mentioned, one, doing something on the tech side, and second, bringing more utility for the experiences. Next question is, if say for a particular game like CSGO, the things we acquire by real-time money, or we can save skins, we can sell them at marketplace or desired. first decentralized in-game. Yeah, so that exactly what I mean to say is that, if you acquire a skin, you acquire an asset as a reward, you can actually sell that on a secondary marketplace outside the gaming environment. Now, some of the most of the Web3 gaming platforms, they are creating their own secondary marketplaces. But in addition to that, as I mentioned, there's interoperability, because these assets are tokenized assets. And when we say tokenized asset, that means a smart contract driven asset. So now these are smart contract based assets. There's interoperability. If it's, you can move the asset from one chain to another, or one gaming ecosystem to another, or one marketplace to another marketplace. So if you have minted an asset on let's say Rarible, you can sell that asset on OpenSea to NFT marketplaces. So similarly here also, you have got full independence and various options to do that. Akash, for Web3 and Metaverse, we promote decentralization as a key feature, but with the level of data we will be collecting, do you think we will be worse than we will? So yeah, you're absolutely right in the sense that in Metaverse there would be huge amount of data. But then I see this as a transition that is going to happen. So today also, when we design a blockchain-based app or a blockchain-based system, let's say in enterprises, not each and every data would be on-chain. So when you design or architect an app or a platform, you need to figure out what is the critical data set. So let's say we talked about ownership. We talked about financial transactions for the assets. So there is critical set of data that needs to be on-chain. And then there are various set of data that can still be off-chain. And by off-chain, I does not mean centralized. In off-chain also, you can have decentralized systems. So now people are combining, we have a partner called Flurry, which is a Web3 distributed database. So combining Flurry with Fabric, or combining Flurry with another smart contract platforms like Polygon or Avalanche. So these kind of systems are coming in. So it depends. When you're right, we need to understand that blockchain has not been designed as a database. It cannot handle huge amount of data, and that is not it has been designed for. So whenever we are designing any blockchain-based ecosystem, and that's true for a metaverse also, we need to have this kind of system where what is on-chain, what is off-chain, where the data transparency need to be available through on-chain, and how the transparency should be available based on off-chain. Another question, how long before metaverse projects start providing experiences as good as Web2 games? Yeah, so Unreal Engine is definitely helping. A lot of games are being built on Unity, and a lot of them are being built on Unreal. In fact, the whole gaming metaverses are being built on them. So they are the frameworks which are enabling to build this. Similarly, go for Roblox. So I won't say a specific time, but I think it's moving there. A lot of different startups are coming in, bringing, as I mentioned, for user experience, bringing in smaller and smaller pieces. If you combine them together, and then on the AR and VR headsets. So one side on the software side, second, making the hardware more feature rich so that you can get those richer experiences. So I think it's getting there. It's going to take a huge amount of time. But as we have seen in the case of growth of internet and other digital experiences, it has happened over a period of time, starting with static web to more interactive web through blogs and forums. I remember early 2000, and then post that, today we talk about mobility and cloud-based, where we are not storing data offline, we are storing everything on cloud. Just imagine you buy a new mobile phone 5-6 years back, and you buy a new mobile phone today. At that time, I remember, migrating your phone book, migrating your different data or apps from one phone to another. And especially if you're moving from, let's say, Android to iOS or iOS to Android, it was a nightmare. Today, moving from one iPhone to another, or moving from Android to iOS or iOS to Android, is so seamless, right? In your app, in your phone, every data is pretty much on the cloud. Migrating that, the app becomes so much easy. So yes, so similarly, we are seeing a transition here where every day we are seeing new startups coming in, building better experiences. So yes, in the next 2 to 3 years, we are going to see a huge change, much better experiences. So I hope I've been able to answer questions. If you have any further questions, do join our community. do join us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Telegram, Discord. We'll be very willing to help you if you are a Web3 developer, startup, enterprise, who want to learn more about gaming, metaverse, decentralized applications. We are willing to help you. Thank you. Thanks everyone for attending this session. And we continue to do monthly webinars. This last 2 months were fully focused on Web3 gaming and metaverses. And then, from subsequent month from March, we are again going to start our DeFi series. We'll talk more about DeFi. After the FTX scenario, etc., we are again seeing a surge in the whole decentralized space, especially if we talk about DEXs or DeFi apps like Aave, etc. We have seen recently that more than 50 billion TVL has come back in the DeFi space. So, we'll talk more about NFTs and DeFis, and we'll continue. So, do subscribe to our events page on Zeeve.io, and you will be abreast or updated with all the events that we are doing. We are doing a lot of meetups in India across different cities. We are doing a lot of webinars, Twitter spaces. So do join us and keep updated. Thank you.